The topic of Breadtube is something that is very important to the modern media landscape, and something a lot of my audience want me to discuss. While the exact definition of what constitutes a Breadtuber seems to vary, there is definitely a group of individual YouTubers that seem to form what we today call Breadtube. So I thought I would discuss all of these channels individually and rank them on a tier list, finding out what Breadtube really means, discussing their strengths, criticisms and impact to the overall community. The first Breadtuber I will be discussing is The Bread Code. This channel has very snappy and well produced editing and hosted by a kind and considerate German man.
Guten Tag, and let's kick it off with number 1.
This channel is probably the best for beginner bread makers. He makes every step clear and easy to understand, what to do and what not to do in the topic of bread. Bake with Jack. Bake with Jake would be so much more catchier, but whatever. Jack's definitely a skilled baker and definitely has a likeable personality with his quick, sarcastic British humour. So a good figure in the Breadtube genre.
Let's do it!
Next I'll be looking at Proof Bread, a behind the scenes look at the artisan bakery, showing real world bread making on a large scale, while still explaining the techniques for home bakers. His most popular videos tend to be his multi-hour process videos, showing the sourdough process. Sourdough being a very popular topic when it comes to Breadtube. Some of his other videos tend to be a little corporate for my liking. He's very American, but he's proud of his success as a baker, and that's what Breadtube is all about. And next we have Warburton's Official, the first major bread corporation to successfully capture Breadtube. Their high budget, high concept ads are always a big hit on this platform, including the one famously featuring Samuel L. Jackson,
Chairman of the UK's largest family bakery,
and another where they brought the Muppets in, singing about how brilliant crumpets are. They certainly have managed to get on board with Breadtube better than other bread companies have. Hovis don't even seem to have a channel. What are you doing? Next I'll talk about Japanese Bread Story. These fly-on-the-wall documentaries are very interesting, telling different stories of bakers in Japan, with some of them up to 4 hours. Really goes into detail about the process. They may not be as popular as the similar channel, Food Star, but they certainly are as talented. Then there's Artisan Bread with Steve, one of the more amateur bread tubers. He uses very basic fonts and simple editing, but he definitely has that potential, and his passion for bread is quite clear. Then there is Merlogic1, who is much more well known online as the Wonderbread guy, a man known for commissioning art by a huge range of artists, all of the art featuring wealthy women shopping for many loaves of Wonderbread, usually at extortionately high prices, and often referencing cutting down rainforests to make room for sandwich factories. Wait, this isn't even a YouTuber, never mind a Breadtuber. This is just a guy with an extremely specific fetish. The man has admitted to masturbating to Wonderbread because Wonderbread reminds him of his ex-girlfriend's breasts. Anyway, A-tier Breadtuber. Next is Brian Lagerstorm. Brian doesn't just do bread videos, as he is a chef and a baker. He prepares a huge range of foods, giving great recipes. But I think it would be foolish not to mention him, as his One Dough, Three Loaves video is one of the most popular and influential videos in the Breadtube genre. For similar reasons, I'm putting Jenny Can Cook on this tier list, as I'm sure we have all seen her absolutely game-changing, faster no knees bread video. Next we have the channel that's actually called Bread, but none of these videos have anything to do with bread. He's not Breadtube, he's just some gamer YouTube. I don't want to watch that, get out of here. And then there's Bread Kitchen.
Hi and welcome to the Bread Kitchen.
Nope, or Bread Barbershop.
over here.
I don't know what this is, And I am scared. Okay, I know many of you will be now going crazy at the fact that I've yet to mention Chain Baker. The smooth-talking German man gives us specific insights into bread making, showing how different ingredients affect the process, how and why we bake that bread the way we do. Bernd das Brot, or Bernard the Bread in English, is the mascot of the German TV network Kika, which now has its own YouTube channel that prominently features the character. Bernd das Brot is a talking loaf of bread who is primarily known for his chronic depression, with his common catchphrases being, "My life is hell, I would like to be left alone," and his most common one being
Mist.
which is shit in English. This is a children's show. Before YouTube, he used to play the same episodes all night, every night, from 9 PM to 6 AM on the channel Kika, confusing many tourists that come across this bread. Would you count From Scratch Bakery as a bread tuber? Because she works in a bakery and, the skits may involve bread? Whatever. And finally, we have the best bread tuber on this entire website. Yes, I may be biased because he's one of my mates and I have a 10-hour documentary already on him, but that documentary barely covers his real passion and the thing he should be remembered for: baking bread, which he clearly displays on his YouTube channel with his Bread Chronicles videos. These videos, like everything else Cybersmith makes, heavily feature his own watermark over the footage. This, as well as being a necessary prevention, and people stealing these videos and claiming that they created them, really add to the art form itself. They are a unique experience you will never get from anywhere else but Cybersmith.
Label. I'm an absolute slut for Yellow Label, just as Keir Starmer is an absolute slut for the communist Illuminati policies of the World Economic Forum. But this is the really smart thing. Food colouring. I realised...
He also often puts food dye in his cooking, such as dyeing his savoury bread bright green and his sweet bread a lighter yellow, so he knows the difference between savoury and sweet, and doesn't have to stress when eating his bright green burgers, including dyeing his garlic bread green, because things should look like what they are. So there we are. I may rate these channels differently, but at the end of the day, I hope they all get that bread. Maybe I'm not the best person to judge these, as I have never baked any bread in my life, nor have any interest of doing so, or know a single thing about the topic. But I think the real point of Breadtube isn't to have any knowledge, or really to learn anything. It's just to play these videos in the background and blindly absorb everything they say without even thinking for yourself.